I'm Jim Cardona from Cardona Pinball Designs, and in this video I wanted to go through some of the creative process that the step-by-step of what we do to take an initial vision into a completed functioning machine or a 2.0 kit. And just so that I know that there's people that are thinking about doing things and they don't know where to start, or they're just wondering how much work does it really take, so I'll just kind of go through my process. I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but my process. So the first thing I do is you got to pick a game, right? So in the case of these two games, because it's a new company and some of my ideas of what we wanted to do, we weren't sure how well it was going to be received. So we actually intentionally chose games that didn't have large numbers of units produced. So, both of these two games have around 3,000 units produced. So we figured, okay, this is a good test bed. We can make some kits. We probably won't sell a whole lot of them because there's not a lot of units, especially for Black Rose, because even though there's 3,000 made, how many still exist? Because back in those days, 1992, route operators, if a game wasn't doing well, it was likely that they might take it apart for parts and throw the rest away. So I don't know really how many are out there. This was a later game, 1997. Still about the same number of units made, but the market was kind of shifting more towards a collector's market by then. So there's probably more of those out there. And I think it's more of a loved game than Black Rose was, so it's probably more out there as well. But we wanted to start with low production games just to kind of get all the kinks out of the company and our workflow and our work process. So I feel like we've done that. So our next games are going to be a little more aggressive. So and that's not to say that we haven't gotten the kinks out of everything. So for example, like I can tell you this, so the first one we did this game and we just did a very simple speaker panel, and we didn't make any artwork for here, and a lot of people didn't like that, right? They wanted the artwork because they came up and they said, yeah, it's a new game, the game plays great, it's a lot of fun, but when somebody looks across the room they don't see it any different from really, I mean, the screen's bigger of course, but there's not that visual pop. So we learned from that, right? And we made this game and we said, well, absolutely, we're gonna do professional artwork, and we want it to pop, and we want it to look like, we want people to walk up, and our experience has been people walk up and they say, what is that? Because it looks totally different than the original Black Rose. Now, in hindsight, what we're considering, and it really depends on the feedback and the numbers, but we are considering. And this is just something this isn't the artwork for the original Gofers. This is just something I picked up off of eBay. But we're considering doing the professional art for Gofers, and also doing an artwork piece for the speaker panel. So that's more to follow if we do that. Of course, for I'm the type that if I buy something and somebody changes it later, it kind of really irks me. So, and I think most people are like that. They don't like when things get changed. You've already put out a lot of money for it. So if we do that, it would be sold separately than the kit. So it would be like an optional add-on, so that people don't say, hey, you burned me because now the new kit has this stuff that mine doesn't. You could always buy it. It's going to be separate. Okay. So now got a little distracted there. So on to the creative process. So the first thing is picking a game. Maybe I'm gonna have to split this into two videos because this is gonna be a little longer. But so we were looking for a game, and really the number one criteria for me is a game that the playfield layout is good. It's a good shooting game, okay? But the rules need some love, need some help. So in the case of these two games, the reason we picked both of these was a little different in each case. So in the case of Gofers, I've always liked Pat Lawler's games. Really, I think he does really great work. And the layout is good. I mean, and he does. There's a lot of common things in his games, like having the jackpot shot off of the upper flipper, but it's during a multi-ball, which makes it much harder. And he's done stuff like that on other games, like Addams Family and Funhouse and stuff like that. There's things like that, and it's a really good shooting game. And the rules as they are not bad, actually. But the thing was, he didn't finish it. Right, so it was right at the end of the Williams pinball division, before they stopped making pinball machines and went 100% to like slot machines and gambling machines. So it wasn't finished. It has 6 balls, but they don't it's pretty difficult to get a situation where 6 balls are added. I know that you can start rip off and you keep hitting the captive ball and you'll get more balls, but I mean there wasn't like a 6-ball multi-ball or even a 5 or a 4. It was only 2 and 3. And there's all these, and then when you go through all of when you putt out, it shows you all of the modes on that wheel award thing, and there's a bunch of ones that are listed on there that are not in the game, right? So there's like, I just remember Turtle Wax off the top of my head, but there's several, like 4 or 5 modes that are on the screen that they never wrote the modes for me. The game didn't get finished. So that was where I started. I said, you know what, I can finish this. I can finish this game. But then what ended up happening, it just kind of morphed into a whole new game, right? So that's what happened with this one. And then the reason we picked this one was, again, I really like the layout of it. It's pretty unique too, because in Black Rose, you have a lot of these middle shots that the way you make them is off a bank, like a bank shot. Like you actually, if you want to shoot over here, you actually aim over here, intentionally bank the shot. So if you want to hit certain ones of these green targets, you can bank it off the yellow and it'll bounce to the green. And likewise, you bounce the green to the red to make it up this gangplank ramp over here. One of the best ways to do that is off your left flipper, banking the shot off of the upper green target, and it'll go that way, because shooting it from the upper flipper is actually pretty difficult. So I found it to be easier to do it off the bank. Other games have bank shots, but so many, and then the fact that it's difficult to post transfer. So pretty unique game with a lot of cool shots. 3 ramps plus this plank thing. You got the lock ball area. It just has a lot of cool stuff. It has this, I don't know if you count that as a ramp, but the cannon that comes back. So it's a lot of cool stuff. But, the original game, it had a whole bunch of video modes that weren't really that great, much fun. The scoring was imbalanced. It was kind of like just shoot for broadside all the time. It was pre DCS, so the sound quality is not that great on the original game. Just like a lot of the older games, it just doesn't, to today's standards, right? At the time, it was probably fine. So we just said, you know what, we can do this game, and we can make this game awesome. It already has great shots. It already has good flow and a lot of cool things to shoot for, but it's just the rules need work. So that's something we can fix in software. I don't need to drill holes on the playfield. I don't need to move ramps. We can do that. So that's like the big thing where I kind of get on my list. And then the other thing is whether or not we can get the license, right? So this is a non-licensed theme. It's just about pirates. This is a non-licensed theme. It's just about golf. I don't have to pay AC/DC because the game was themed on them, or I don't have to pay Sony or Disney because the game was themed on one of their intellectual properties. This is open season. I can do whatever I want. I can put whatever music I want, whatever artwork I want. As long as Williams is satisfied with the product, I can do whatever I want. So that's kind of why we went with these two as our initial titles.